Well, hello again and welcome to the VK6CS Fun with Amateur Radio channel. Now, I'll just zoom in on this. I was keeping away from the amplifier, of course. There we go. There's the parasitic choke there. I wound that up yesterday and fitted that parasitic choke because the one that was in there was a small temporary one. I'll show you that in a sec. I did notice that you see that really little thin wire there. Oops, come on, focus. On the end of the RF choke. Oh, it's trying to focus on the carpet, isn't it? Can you see that little thin wire going from the end of the RF choke up to the terminal on the end there that connects to the valve and to the DC blocking capacitor that goes to the tank circuit? I thought that looked a little thin, but these chokes are used in high power amps, I believe. There's only sort of 650 milliamps, 700 milliamps of anode current, so thin wire like that should probably be able to handle that. If it gets hot, I'll rewind it with something a little thicker. Now there is the temporary parasitic choke that I had on the anode, and I wound that up initially because when I first fired the amplifier up, there was a little bit of instability there, and there was some sort of pulsing of UHF or something going on, and I just had to put that on the anode and change the arrangement slightly in the airbox with regard the cathode choke and filament chokes, which made it all nice and stable. But you know, I had that little thing on there while I was fiddling around with it. But I thought, okay, it looks like it's going to be a goer, so I wound up the permanent one yesterday. That may yet still need some fiddling with, so I haven't tried it on the higher frequencies yet. So when I try it on 10 metres, there might be a problem, but I can always take a turn off. Right now, power company's been generous to me today. I'm getting a bit more mains voltage, 5,000 volts there. Of course, as soon as I put the camera on it, it goes to 4,990, but right up until the point where I swung the camera around, it was showing 5,000 volts. Actually, hey, it's dropping in front of my face. Look at that. Someone wants to turn their kettle on next door. Hang on. There we go. Right, there we are, 5,000 volts. And if I go to the power meter, keeping my other hand well out of the way, of course, there's the power meter. It's on the 2,000 watt range. And if I key it, it looks like it goes well past 1,500 watts to me. I mean, look at that. What is that going up to? 1,700 is that? 1,650? I've got the bird meter, so I'm going to put the bird meter on, and I'll have a look at that. Out of curiosity, so we've got 5,001 volts, 5,010 volts. Sorry. So I press the PTT, goes down to 4,240 volts, 4,220 volts. Okay. Plenty of power coming out of it. What's the anode current doing? 740 milliamps is that? If I get square onto it, 720, something like that. So 720 milliamps at 4,230 volts. I'll do a calculation and see how much power we've got going in, and see how much power we've got coming out, and see what the efficiency is like. Okay, well, I'll pause the video and set the bird meter up and see what that says. It's a lot easier to read. Well, hello again. Right, now, hopefully that pause was seamless. I've got the bird meter hooked up now. It's got a 2,500 watt slug in it, so we're looking at the top range. So the 5 is 500, the 10 is 1,000, the 15 is 1,500, the 20 is 2,000, and 2500 is right over on the right hand side. If I press the PTT, there we go. So that makes it a bit easier to see. It looks like 1750 watts on the button. Keep the finger on the button to help, wouldn't it? Maybe just a hair under 1750 watts. So that equals, I did a quick calculation, so that's about 57% efficient, which you know, from what I've seen on the internet, is pretty typical. I reckon somewhere between 50 and 60%. The loading capacitor is still fully meshed, so I think there's room for improvement there. So I might be able to improve that efficiency, maybe able to squeeze a bit more power out of it, get a bit less anode current. But certainly, I would say this is heading in the right direction, that's for sure. I won't talk while I've actually got the PTT pressed, because I've got it set to FM mode, and when I do that, because the carrier is changing in frequency, you can see the slight movement on the power meter. But it's perfectly happy at that power level. I reckon you could do the brick on the key test. I haven't done that yet, but I'll probably run it just, I don't know, might run it for 5 minutes, just key down, see what happens. Make sure the power supply, I've got one of those non-contact thermometers. Make sure everything in the power supply is happy. Make sure the exhaust air from the tube is not excessively hot. I've certainly put my hand over the top of it, and it doesn't feel excessively hot at all. So I reckon this is going to be got to be a bit careful, because the dummy load, the 1500 watt rating on the dummy load, which is being exceeded there obviously, is only for 10 seconds. And it's one of those MFJ 1500 watt dummy loads. It's an oil filled one, and they say, you know, no more than 1500 watts for 10 seconds. And that's the point actually. What would I load it into for 5 minutes? Have to find something. Other than the antenna, of course, before anyone leaves any comments below. So that's right, yeah, so with the dummy load they say 1500 watts, no more than 10 seconds, whatever you do not boil it, because the oil that's in it gives off toxic fumes, so I certainly don't want to be overcome by toxic fumes. So just giving it a little tickle here and there, but you can see that if I leave it down for a few seconds or so, it's quite happy delivering that 1750 watts. Quite happy. Alright, well as always, hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll be doing a few more videos as it becomes optimised with the input and output circuit, and I'll change that, see what I can do with that loading as well, and might even put a scope on it and see what the output actually looks like. See if it looks like an Alpine View, or if it looks like a Toblerone, or if it actually looks like a nice clean sine wave. As always, hope you found that interesting. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you next time.